once again, this is somebody's career. He had 4 tackles. He had a tackle for loss. He had a sack, and he had a forced fumble. All right? He had 5 touchdowns and over 486 yards.
Good gracious.
His dad made him lift weights the next day.
Welcome everybody to the Coaches in the Mouth pod. This is Coach Jeff Williams along with Coach Darrell Fimple and the Mouth Brent Bender. First of all, before we get into everything, what a great week of football this past weekend. Before we do that, we need to recognize our partnership and our sponsors, Lindsay and Associate, All-American Steakhouse in Springdale, and of course the Pig brand. We appreciate these sponsorships to making this show happen. Guys, let's get into it. Darrell, I mean, you're talking about 2 of the biggest games in the state last week. Let's start with the big guys right off the chute. Bryant at Parkview. I watched that game. Let's break it down. What did you think? All I can say, Bryant defensive line, wow.
If 99 and 90 were immovable objects, you couldn't move them. So, you know, all the creases for home runs that Parkview lives and dies off of, they completely shut down the run game. I mean, it was and you got to give hats off to Bryant's secondary too, because that was a big coming into the year was, can they hold up back there? And they definitely showed it, had a great plan. Their kids played extremely hard. And Parkview, you know, had showed some struggles against Maumelle in sustaining drives and not just depending on the home runs. And I think that kind of cost them in that.
Well, it did, and I couldn't get off the line play, both sides of the line, and I mean that leadership was unbelievable. And Bryant, I mean, you could tell we had Quad on earlier, and he talked about make them drive it, not just limit the big plays, and they went with the game plan really great. Elkins, Warren, turnovers, and a statement game. Right to this Mouth, get in this fall. I mean, you keep up with Uncle Bo and the Warren Lumberjacks, and you kept up with Elkins. Both of you, what'd you take away from this game, Mouth?
I took away great game. First of all, the most important thing I took away from this game was turnovers, and Elkins made Warren pay when they turned it over, and they turned it over 5 or 6 times. And you can't do that against a good football team. Elkins scored touchdowns. It ended up being the difference in the game.
It is. Darrell, what did you think about it?
Well, I thought that Elkins, like from a team standpoint, I thought they were just better. You know, of course, you know, Warren's going to get better. But yeah, I thought they were the better team that night. They took advantage of the turnovers. Hey, their team speeds. Everybody's talking about Warren. Their team speed's really good at Elkins, and they can do it, different ways. I thought their line play was, just to be honest with you, I thought it was more dominant than Warren's. I thought we were better up front that way, and you could tell that that was a statement game that Elkins wanted to make. Like we said before, he got to play at Arkansas Tech's field, and Zach had his kids ready to play. It was a huge game. But don't leave out the fact that this is what Warren does. They're going to be right in the middle of everything, and they accepted the challenge. And, that's part of being an unbelievable program is what they've got there. And I'm sure that's what Elkins is going to say. That's why we play it.
Yeah, exactly. And real dominant. Hey, another bunch. Hey, let's give a little shout out to Farmington Cardinals, man. Coach Tice, but, they played Prairie Grove. Hey, we challenged them a little bit. And I tell you what, Casey Moreland, they're one of the best defensive minds in the state, defense coordinator at Farmington. They've given up some points in the first 2 weeks, holding the Prairie Grove to 8 points. Unbelievable job by him and those guys. And that's a big rival. Got them back on track. And boy, you look at that 5A West, Alma going to Hot Springs and winning, and Greenbrier going to Van Buren. That thing looks like it could be crazy.
Alma went where? Or where'd we go?
They went to Hot Springs. Went to Hot Springs.
Well, now they got a W, baby. We love Coach Bush now. We love
Coach Bush. Coach Bush is everybody's hero in Alma right now. I understand.
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's get into it. Hey, a lot of movement here. Let's get into your small school top 6.
Tons. We knew last week was going to be one of them juggernaut weeks because, like we said, we had Warren and Elkins able to play each other, which is huge in the thing. But here's the small 5. Well, actually, small 6 this week. We're going to go small 6. All right, because here's the other thing is too. Love Warren, but you got to win games. Remember, you got to win games. All right, as week to week, we got to win games to get on the small 5 or small 6. So our number 6 team, and I'm telling you, whoever made the publications didn't do a lot of reading up on this because Newport, the Newport Greyhounds are going to slide into my 6th spot. Number 5 is going to be the Carlisle Bisons. It's got a big game this week too with Cross Times, Desark. Boonville keeps rolling along at number 4. And hey, here's the surprise number 3. All right, we've always loved these guys. You ready? RC, baby. The Rivercrest Colts, baby. Colts are back. Buddha's back. We are back in the business, man. We took EPC to the woodshed, ended up scoring 56 points on them. Did an unbelievable job. Hey, the lights you could see from the interstate, buddy. Colts are for real. They're for real. Scored a bunch of points. Quarterback played he was phenomenal. He had over 400 yards almost of total offense. Buddha had 3 touchdowns. I think they're going to make some noise, and boy, do we love Rivercrest. Number 2, Elkins proved that they're number 2. Elkins proved on a neutral field, supposedly, even though Zach went to school there, his old family's from around the area. All right, they were probably outgunned that way. But yes, Elkins proves they're number 2 in our top 6. And of course, number 1, because all they do is win. The class down there, all he does is win. Prescott just keeps rolling along, looking for the next opponent. And like I said, I think they got a little chip on their shoulder down there at Prescott this year, which we love. All right, and I'm sure that every chain gang in America is worried about running into the Curly Wolves. It could cost you this year. I think they're a really solid team, really good on defense too. Our Big Five's got a bunch of shakeups. Big Five's got another bunch of shakeups. You got some questions answered last week. I think it's going to motivate some teams right here, and that's what we're about here on the pod, baby. We're about motivation. All right?
People get upset about it. We're checking your work, man. Week to week.
We're motivated. Somebody said you're 500 last week. Well, you know what? Sometimes you go with your heart, and your heart's just wrong. You got to go with the pick and circle first. Number 5, Parkview's going to drop out of our first. This is almost 2 years.
Yeah.
The Bolden boys are going to drop down to number 5.
Wow.
Number 5 on our big pole. I think number 4 is the Conway Wampus Cats. And 4 through 1 is really tight. 4 through 1 is really tight. Conway, man, and you want to talk about being explosive on both sides of the field, and their defense is getting better, which should start scaring some people there. And you knew they would. Fayetteville, it keeps rolling along. Got a big one with Texas High this week. That should be fantastic to watch. At number 3 there. Number 2, the Bryan Hornets. Bryan Hornets figured it out. Like I said, they also had great quarterback play too in that game. But man, they lined it up.
Man,
they ran the same play about 4 times in a row. They literally just changed tailbacks. I'm going to give this guy a couple carries. I'm going to give this guy in the same way. Their left side of the offensive line completely dominated that game. Number 1, I cannot wait to see somebody play on 4 quarters because the Greenwood Bulldogs are phenomenal. They are absolutely phenomenal. They bought the lights. They got the lights there, and they're blinking all over the place. I mean, they score so fast, so many different ways. And once again, defensively, when you have a big lead like that, they can just cut loose.
I know. They rush the passer. Gosh, yeah.
They don't just rush the passer. They abuse the passer. I mean, that poor guy ain't got a chance because you're always behind the sticks, and they make life on you extremely tough. So that's our number 1 big school is the Greenwood Bulldogs.
I like it. I see where we're going. But Bryant was just really impressive.
We got some sleepers too coming on.
Yeah.
some Gold Star patches we need to give some coaches because Springdale High School.
Yes.
Unbelievable job. I mean, they're doing a great job not turning the ball over, playing great defense, running the ball, keeping you off the field, and they're starting to believe they can win a little bit. Rogers High School's played really well. They're pretty explosive in the West. So you've got some coaches that are doing some great jobs, and kids are really buying in, and you can tell that they're about to make a big change.
There's no doubt. Bismarck for small school.
Yes.
Boy, going down to them and Glenrose and just handling them. And I actually was talking to the 3A coach, and he was very impressed with two teams, Newport and Bismarck. I mean, he was like, man, these guys are a lot better than thought they were. And they've impressed him.
Newport 6 in their league.
Yeah, boys, that was bad. I think we're probably got receipts for those. I think so. They're going to make a run big time. Well, let's get into it right here. Our Lindsay Associated Player of the Week. Who we got, Daryl?
We have got coach's kid, Creed Vega. It was he had 29 carries for 245 yards and 3 touchdowns. Through the air, he was 17 of 27 for 241 yards and 2 touchdowns. Once again, this is somebody's career. He had 4 tackles. He had a tackle for loss. He had a sack, and he had a forced fumble. He had 5 touchdowns and over 486 yards.
Good gracious.
His dad made him lift weights tonight. Hey, Creed, I got to get you in. And with a name like Creed, dude.
Yeah.
He's leather boot tough right there, Creed Vega.
Well, let's do this a little bit. Let's talk about, most of these teams before we get our top 10 games a week. Well, it was hard to find some. Most people are on a bye week, and what are we going to do with this bye week? Some people are sitting at 0-3. Some people are sitting 3-0, 1-2, 2-1. Everybody's got a different situation. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and bring on Buck James, head coach of Conway, just kind of see how he's feeling and what they're going to do with the bye week. Let's bring on Coach Buck James. Let's get into this. Looking at, here we are, week 3. Most teams in the state of Arkansas are on bye weeks. Schedules here, there. You guys are, you're looking at your football team. You're sitting at 3-0. You played a great Bentonville team, played a great Marion team last week, a very good Jonesboro team. And now you all of a sudden, boom, you got this week off. Talk to us. What's your approach? Is it, about practice? What are we doing in the weight room? As far as everything with this week off, what are, before we start conference play, what's really what counts. What's your week look like and what's your approach with your staff?
Well, I gave my staff off on Sunday. We usually work on Sunday afternoons. A lot of us watch college football. And so, we work on Sunday, and so I gave them off Sunday. We're going to come in today, and we lifted this morning. We got 2 JV games tonight, and we're going to play at North Little Rock in one of them. We're going to play versus Searcy. The beauty of it is we're going to play 3 JV games before we play our next game. And so that we're going to stay competitive. We're going to keep practicing. This is a week where you get your ones or a little bit of rest. It's been 5 weeks, of a grind, the 2 weeks of fall camp, then the 3 weeks of the season. And really, we've played a lot of kids. We played over 45 kids on defense the other night, and we played right at 40 kids on offense. So we played 85 kids against Marion the other night, which probably the majority of them played in the first half as well. So we're getting some guys that are 2s and 3s, if you want to call them that. We're getting them a lot of reps. We're going to get them a lot of reps this week. The first group of guys will take limited reps this week, and we're really going to work hard Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday with our 2s and 3s and 4s to get them up to speed to where we're at. And we're going to try to stay sharp with the other guys, and I'm going to give them Friday off, and then we're going to come back Monday. We're going to go back to work on Sunday afternoon, and we're going to come on Monday, and we're going to play another JV game, and we're going to have a regular routine week. But really what I want us to do is lift. We're going to max in a couple areas this week and get everything done. We've been maxing for the last 2 weeks in certain lifts. And so this will be the third week of our testing. And then we'll be back on a cycle again. And we pump iron in the in season just like we do the off season. So this is our cycle period. We usually play good when we're cycling in the weight room, and hopefully our guys will be fresh. We'll get some guys with some bummed up ankles and fingers and stuff like that back to speed, and then we can start playing football again.
Well, and here's my you kind of already answered the question, but some guys during this time period might be a deal where we're adding a little bit of scheme. We're getting ready for conference play. Let's add it. Let's work it. Things on down the road. Some people just focus on fundamentals. Your young guys, and you talked about your young guys. Is it a little bit of both? Or are we more fundamental wise? Or are we focusing on a little bit, adding a few scheme things?
Well, we sat down as a staff Saturday night after we got through, and there's guys that we want to look at some other places where some guys that we feel like can help us that we've been playing on offense. We might get more reps on defense and vice versa on that. And, I think that, you look at our conference opponents, very similar to what we played in non-conference. Plastic Academy is really the only exception to that, and we've got to get ready to be able to field onside kicks and, the tempo offense. But, Brian is very similar to what we do, and so – everybody has a niche, but we see that niche all year long, and we just got to sort of, fundamentally get better. We've got to get better in our special teams. We've got to get better in the little disciplines. We've had way too many penalties in the first 3 ball games, but we've played well at times too. And, I don't want to take that away from what we're doing. And, I don't want to lose the momentum on that. But there's things that we're going to have to do that our conference, they're the ones who prepare for us every year. They're the one that builds their team like our team is built. And, everybody's trying to defeat, Bryant, of course. And we've got to develop some things to do that. And really, first of all, you can't get on the field with Bryant unless you're a strong football team. And, we've got to work hard in the weight room. And then we got to work hard on mental toughness and self-discipline and doing the things that we normally don't want to do. But, a lot of kids want to come in and take a week off, but we've got to go to work and we've got to do some things. And, we're spreading our JV teams pretty thin tonight, going to 2 different venues, playing football. We're going to play a lot of kids. I mean, we're going to play 44 kids on the first snap of the ball, but, of the night. And so we're going to get some guys some reps. And I think, the key is try to get 500 reps between now and next Friday when we play again. And if we can do that and every kid on this team can get 500 reps of football, offensively, defensively, special teams, then we're going to be cooking in grease.
Well, let's get into film work. Let's talk about a little bit off the field. Obviously, the lifting and that part of it, usually you're going to have your guys in Tuesday, Wednesday, get a little film work. Might be on special teams, might be on the next week opponent. Are we going ahead and looking at the next opponent down the road, or are we kind of focusing on ourselves as far as film stuff?
This stuff will be just what we do. It won't be anything on preparation. This will be on the disciplines that we need to get better at, whether, I want our receivers to catch, 500 balls this week. I want our kickers to, get plenty of kicks in. I want our quarterbacks to still work and grind in what they do. Our offensive linemen, we still got to learn to stay on our tracks and be able to block a 3 front, be able to block a 4 front, be able to block a 3-2. And then, we saw 3-3 the other night. And, I always tell people you don't coach defense when you run a 3-3, you call defense. And I'm telling you, there's times those guys had 7, 8 guys coming in the box, and we have to be ready for that too. And so we're going to see every aspect of it from, when we play Plastic Academy, we play Bryant, we play Little Rock Christian, we play Southwest North Little Rock. We're going to see a bunch of different stuff. And then you got Cabot, who's going to be hard-nosed and bully football and physical. And so our conference really gives you everything that we need, like I said, in our preseason games, because I think Bentonville's a lot like what Cabot is. I think You take Marion, they're a lot like Bryant defensively. I mean, they got athletes. They were long. They could run. Jonesboro's fits right in there with North Little Rock and Southwest. And, so I think we see some things, but there's improvement to be made. I don't think that we can take this week off. I think we're going to take this week and we're going to go Tuesday in shorts and shoulder pads. We're going to go full pads on Wednesday. We're going to go in shells on Thursday, and then we're going to turn around and give them Friday off, and then we're going to come back Monday and go through our regular Monday routine. And still got a JV game that day, and then Tuesday will be a full padded practice. Wednesday will be in shells, and Thursday we will prep for game, and then that's the way we'll do it really the rest of the year.
Well, and I'm going to get you off here with this, and this is kind of the magical thing, and you're doing it right now as good as anybody in the business. Your record shows it. Keeping that physicality, and I know your approach, and we all know at the end of the day, games won in the trenches. I mean, I watched the Parkview Bryant game, and one thing I couldn't keep my eyes off was Bryant's defensive line. Just how impressive. How do you keep that physicality part, but keep getting a little rest too? What's the fine line there?
Well, we tell our kids we can rest when we die. We're going to go out there and play football, and we've got to go out and be physical. I don't think you can sit there and say, well, we're going to try to get ready for Pulaski Academy and Little Rock Christian and Cabot and Bryan all in 1 week. I mean, we've got to prepare for that starting right now. We really need to start preparing for that, in week 0. And, the physicality, the mental toughness, the diverse ability that those guys have and what they can do on each and every Friday night, we've got to be prepared for it. And then we got to be prepared for what they might do. And but as you saw this weekend, Bryant's got a good football team. There were 6 of those guys that started up for us when they were sophomores, and they're a very good football team. One of my coaches, and I heard pro coaches and college coaches, but rat poison. I mean, everybody wants to play them down every year, and until somebody can unthrone those guys, I think somebody's they've got to prepare and be ready for them. And I think this conference. You can finish in the top 6 in this conference, and I'd hate to play them when you got in the playoffs. And I think that's really going to be the truth of it. We've got to get a lot better. We've got to get a lot tougher. We got to get a lot more physical. We've got to be a lot more disciplined. And we're not going to stop that grind until we play our last football game. And our kids understand that. Our coaches understand that. We just got to be each and every Friday night, we got to be the most physical football team, mentally tough football team, and disciplined football team that we can possibly be. And that's a day-by-day process. That's just like building a wall. You just got to go brick by brick. You get chopping a tree. It's chop by chop. I mean, you don't knock trees down that are big trees on one swing of the axe. And we've got to keep grinding. And I think if you're going to be a championship caliber football team, you can't overestimate your next opponent, and your opponent after that can't be too big that you got to look for them. You got to prepare each week and just go step by step and get up the stairs and fight like heck, and then start climbing again.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I hear Zach Watson always talking about stacking days. Every day we're out there getting a little bit better and stacking days. And that's what you guys are going to do. Well, Coach, I appreciate you spending time the off week. This kind of a lot of people are off, just seeing what some people are doing. It's kind of we talked about. Some people are 0-3, some people are 3-0, some people are just in between, and everybody's got to do something a little different. We want to check your work, see what you guys were doing. Well, Buck, I appreciate it a whole lot, buddy.
Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on the show.
We'll see you. See you next time, Bucky. Okay, well, Coach James is, him being 3-0 is a different outlook. Talking about, they're focused on themselves, and of course they don't ever substitute the weight room and what they're doing and how critical this bye week. You're going to see a lot of different teams coming out during the conference play the following week. But let's get into our top 10 games, guys. Last week was tough on everybody, baby. It was tough on everybody. It was tough, Daryl. I was 6-4. Mouth, you were 6-4. Coach Fimple, you were 5-5, and our guest picker was 6-4. Overall record right now, I'm 20-10. Mouth's 20-10. You're 18-12, and then our guest right now is 20-10. Well, before we get into this top 10, let's bring on our special guest picker, former head coach at the Jonesboro Hurricanes, Coach Randy Coleman. Randy, welcome to the show. glad to have you here. We're going to get in these top 10 picks. You've been around here football a long time. What have you seen your first 3 weeks here during this high school football season?
Well, it's been a lot of fun. I've gone to 4 games this year. I went to 2 Valley View games and went to 2 Newport games.
Ooh.
So I've seen Newport play twice, and kind of like you've said, they are very, very impressive. And they've got a lot of weapons, and they're solid on defense. A little concerned about special teams. They do not kick extra points. Down in the playoffs, that could be something that comes back to get you a little bit. But they are very solid. Valley View, Coach Cockrell's got them rolling. They are solid. Drew Gartman is one heck of a player, and Andrew Jones, Butch Jones's son, had 3 touchdown receptions Friday night. He's a very good weapon on the outside, and they're very solid.
Well, I know you've been watching a lot of games. Let's get into it here. Starting with our number 10 game. And like I said, a lot of people are on buys. They're trying to find games this time of year. I'd say most teams are on buys. But, Daryl, let's get into it. Bearden at Mount Ida. Break this one down for us.
Bearden and Mount Ida. Bearden's 1-1 on the year. They opened up their season with a win over Episcopal 43-0. They played Arbonne Woods and lost 21-49 down there. Landon Fawcett's their quarterback. He's just a sophomore. They've done a really good job with him. They really haven't gave up that many points. If you look at 2 games, they've given up about 24, but they're scoring about 32. As you look at their averages, Mount Ida will be playing at home. They beat Spring Hill their first game 14-0 and got beat by Jessieville 28-31. They're averaging about 21 points, giving up about 15 on the year. Mount Ida is playing at home, but I'm still going to take Bearden.
Going with Bearden. Mouth, who you got?
You know why I'm taking Bearden?
Why?
Because I circled them first. See, that caught I circled those guys first, and I'm going to go with my first pick, for goodness sakes. Turn over new leaf.
All right, Mouth, who you got this one?
I'm going to be different. I'm going to go with Mount Ida.
Go Mount Ida. Coach Coleman, who you liking this one?
Well, here's what I think. Mount Ida and Bearden have won at home and lost on the road. Mm-hmm. So I'm going with the home team. I'm going Mount Ida.
I'm going to go with Mount Ida, too, just for the same reason. They're at home, and that's a tough place to play. Really tough place to play. All right, here's one of your teams, Daryl, right here. We got Quitman at Mineral Springs. Mineral Springs, a team that's dear to your heart. Daryl, break this one down for us.
What happened was graduation at Mineral Springs. Hit us hard. Graduation hit us hard. We got Quitman coming in. Quarterback is extremely good athlete. They got off they played a tough game with Conway Christian. Mm-hmm. Some of them were picking Conway Christians on the road. They got beat 13-36 in that game. Turned around and beat Izard County 42-0. So that was their two road games, I guess you could say, or 2 games that they've actually played. Both of their games have been at home. I know Coach Coleman was talking about home games. Mineral Springs, I tell you, to be such a dominant team on defense this year, not the case. We've given up 120 points in our first 2 games. Of course, now we played Bismarck and Fordyce, so we're not playing Cupcake City here. No. So maybe if we get back into the mix of this thing, and it's hard for me not to do this. So I'm picking Mineral Springs. I think we're bringing them back to the hammer. Throw the stats out the window right here. Let's rally the troops. We got to make a run in the conference here. All right, so I'm taking Mineral Springs.
Mineral Springs. Mouth, who you liking this one?
Well, I hate to do it, but I'm going to go with Coach Temple. I'm going to go Mineral Springs.
Oh, Mineral Springs. Coach Coleman, who you liking this one?
All right. Well, here's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be a after 10 o'clock game. I don't think there's going to be a lot of defense played. I think it's going to be very high scoring, but I'm going to go with the road team. Go with DJ Mars, Quitman Bulldogs.
Going with DJ Mars. I'm going to go with Mineral Springs because I'm like Daryl. That's who I picked at the beginning with this deal because I think this deal could go back and forth. All right, going down to South Arkansas, guys, got the Monticello at Dumas. Daryl, break this one down.
Monticello opened the season with a loss at Fordyce, 16-34. And then that's another team we need to be talking about, too. Yep. Fordyce is pretty good. Mm-hmm. And then they went over and they destroyed Bauxite. They beat Bauxite 41-20. They're giving up they're scoring about 26 points tonight, giving up about 22 or 3. So they're kind of struggling there. But once again, I think it's scheduling. Dumas is at home. They're 0-2. They've got beat their opening game by Star City 29-34, and then lost to Hamburg's. They got blanked by Hamburg 31-0. So they're struggling on the defensive side of the ball. I think Monticello is going to win this one on the road at Dumas.
Mouth, who you like this one?
I'm going with Monticello.
No, Monticello. I'm going to go with Monticello also. I think Monticello is kind of a sneaky team. I think they're pretty sneaky. Who you like down there? Who you like, Coach Coleman?
Well, I'm going with Monticello also. I watched that game. I watched a replay of it, and Ty Guthrie, the quarterback, is a very good player. Played very well against Bauxite, so I'm going Monticello.
I liked it. Well, I like those guys. All right, let's go second to South Arkansas. McGee at DeWitt. McGee's a team. Saw scrimmage Warren earlier in the year. A lot of people got high expectations for them in that conference. DeWitt also. Talk to us a little bit about this one, Daryl, the breakdown in this matchup.
Well, this is going to be a scheduling kind of this. You look at both of their schedules, kind of scared because McGee played Hamburg at Hamburg, lost 22-27 in a close one, had some turnover issues, and they had some cramping problems. That first game, the McGee Owls got cramped up. I don't know if they do that or not. But then they go to Star City and get beat 7-25. But once again, like that, I think their competition has been a little bit stiffer than DeWitt. But DeWitt's a really good football team, and they're going to pound you too. Really good up front. They opened their season with a 31-7 win over CAC, and then they beat Jacksonville this week 35-7. They're only giving up 7 points a night. Corey Graham ran for 2 touchdowns this past week. Justin Ross broke one for 20 yards. So they got some big play people, especially they don't have to throw it. In other words, they can grind it down with their offensive line. Jared Daniels also had a 1-yard score. So they have multiple people that can score. They're playing at home. So I'm going to take the DeWitt Dragons, baby.
Yeah.
Dragons.
Yeah, I'm with DeWitt too. I think I like the way they run the football. I do. I like DeWitt. Mouth, who you like in this one?
I think we're going to go 3 for 3. I like DeWitt. I like how they pound the rock right at you.
I do too. Coach Coleman.
Well, I don't want to buck the system here. I'm going to go DeWitt. I really think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's going to be a good one, like Coach Haddock, but I think DeWitt Dragons going to get it.
I think so. The Buck sweep will still be rolling at the end of the game.
Yes.
All right, Daryl. Here's one of your teams right here. Just your top. And the Rivercrest Colts are going to finish up the non-conference schedule over at Fort City. It's after so many points this past week. The question: how tired was the Colt running around the field? I mean, last week
they had to switch riders a couple of times, I think. And then, like, the interstate was just packed because people were trying to slow down to watch the game because it was a show out there. I'm probably going to need an extra large Rivercrest Letterman jacket. I'll be looking for that. Yeah, I'll be looking for that in the mail. I know some people over there. I might end up with one of those. Here's the deal with Rivercrest. Beat Gosnell 29-14 at home to open the season. Then last week or this past week, they went 56-32 over EPC, which is they're a good team too. They got some explosive kids. Yeah. The running backs, little brother's back. He's really good. Cavante Washington, though, buddy. That's the Rivercrest Colts' quarterback. He went 16-19, 259 yards, and 6 TDs, baby.
Jeez.
Yeah, wow. He was making the interstate stop. He also ran it for 113 yards, which gave him over to almost 400 yards total offense. He had a rushing touchdown to go along with that. And my guy, Buddha had 7 catches for 133 yards.
I love that guy.
Scored 4 times, baby. He put the 4 up. Then he went over and played in the secondary a couple plays. I mean, we got to put Buddha everywhere we go. With a name like Buddha, that's awesome. And I think Rivercrest defensively, they've given up some points, but they're averaging 42.5 points on offense. They're not turning over. Man, they will grind you on the turf. They go to Forest City. Coach Swinton, I can't say enough about what a job that guy's doing, just instilling the program and kind of build it. I seen the other day he was asking for donations of shirts for his kids to show them how to wear a tie and look professional. So he's doing more off the field stuff that just hadn't shown up yet, but it's going to pay off in the long run. You got to love seeing that. They've struggled at Southside Batesville. They lost a close one. It was 31-33, and then win last week. And Wynn's a good football team, and they had their chances in that, and they scored enough points. They just couldn't stop them. They got beat 36-56. So defensively, they're having trouble stopping some people. But you got to give your hats off to what Coach Swinton's trying to instill in those guys. But the Colts are going to be too much, buddy.
Yeah, and you gotta love Rivercrest. A lot of things going on in the off season. No noise out of that place. No noise all off season. We'll show up. We'll be on the field. You ain't got to be looking.
What they always say in the coaching ranks, buddy, tradition don't graduate.
Not over there, it does, man. So I assume you're going to go with the Rivercrest Colts.
I'm taking the Rivercrest Colts.
Yeah, Mouth, who you liking this one?
Well, my heart very close to Forest City with my dad being AD there for 5 years. And it's amazing what Coach Swinton's done with that program in the 6 months he's been there. They're scoring a bunch of points. But the Rivercrest Colts have way too much horsepower for the Forest City Mustangs.
I agree with you. Coach Coleman?
Well, here's one thing I think doesn't get said enough is Coach Fleming is one of the really good guys in football coaching. Just an outstanding guy. I think Coach Swinton is doing one heck of a job at Forest City. He's turning that program around and played two really good teams very close. Mm-hmm. I'm going to go with the upset. I'm picking Forest City at home.
At home.
Wow. Jumping out there.
I like it. Not scared of it right there. I like it. That boy, Coach Coleman. Don't hold back on us here, baby. All right, next game's this one. We got BB at Valonia. Coach Bingham, new coach, comes into BB. I think he was a bright young football coach. Does a great job. And then obviously Clint Ashcraft over Valonia getting that started. They've been off to a good start. Daryl, talk to us. Hey, they're not too – they know each other because they're 10 miles apart or something like that.
Yeah, this would be definitely a rival game.
Yeah.
In there. BB's 2-0 on the year, 21-7 winners over Nettleton, 45-6 over Greene County Tech. They're averaging about 33 points a game. They're only giving up like 6.5. Very solid on both lines. And like I said, this is a rival game, so you can kind of throw out like the home part of it because BB's going to travel. BB's going to travel over to Valonia. Yeah. Valonia's 1-1, got a big win in the opening. Coach Ashcraft's run there so far against Sylvan Hills, 31-12, and played Maumelle really well.
Yeah.
They did really good. That was a close game throughout. Maumelle ends up beating them 32-21. Valonia's scoring the football too. They're averaging about 31.5 points, only giving up 16 on defense. I think this is going to be one of those back and forth, like kind of a battle. Who's going to take care of the ball? This could be a weather game too.
Yeah.
We might need to get the weather gear out on this one too, because you never know about what's going to happen on Friday night. But I'm going to take the Fighting Ashcrafts at home.
Fighting Ashcrafts
of Valonia.
Well, I tell you what, and this is an interesting matchup. Coach Ashcraft, defensive-minded background. Coach Bingham, man, I think he's one of the bright young offensive guys there is around. I'm going to go with Valonia. I just think they maybe got a little bit more depth. Mouth, who you liking this one?
And this is going to be one heck of a football game.
No, and you've spent some time down at Valonia here a couple of weeks.
I've been to Valonia, and I like their football team. I watched them practice. I guess it'll be 2 weeks ago. It was Wednesday. I like Valonia. Coach Ashcraft leaves no stone unturned in practice. I'm going to go with the Valonia Eagles.
Going with Valonia. Coach Coleman, break this one down. You're pretty familiar with Coach Ashcraft. You played him for years there in Jonesboro.
Yeah.
And so
I love me some Clint Ashcraft. I'll tell you that. He is one outstanding football coach and an even better human being. I think the competition that they've played so far is going to show on Friday night. I think Valonia's played two tougher opponents than BB has. I'm going to go with Valonia. I think Coach
Valonia.
Ashcraft's going to have them ready to go, and I think they're going to win.
All righty, Valonia. Everybody's took Valonia. I think it's a close game. It's turnovers either way. This is a very intriguing game. All right, we're going to do something different. We usually don't do this with out-of-state teams, and if you're playing an out-of-state team, we're watching, which a lot of people did last week in Arkansas high school football. Played a lot of Oklahoma schools, Texas teams really fared really well, but let's add this one in here. And these guys we hadn't talked a lot about, have Coach Dick on the show. Texas High, Fayetteville. Texas High has got phenomenal athletes, a stellar program, won state championships, kind of took a dip. They're kind of back on top. Talk to us a little bit about this matchup, Daryl. I know you don't know much about Texas High, but we know a lot about Fayetteville. And what are you seeing in them in the first 2 games of the year?
Well, I did a little research on Texas. Yeah, gotta get your books out on Texas. And you're right; they're kind of back in the mix of thing. Like scored 50 points in 2 games. They've had 140 on the season in 3 games. They're averaging about 46 points a night, giving up 20. The Tyler Legacy bunch that they played at the first year and won 37-13 is considered to be a really, really, really good team. So that they had a big, huge win that way. Of course, Fayetteville, you've got to be playing. Here's the other thing: is Texas. You're playing somebody good out of state if they're willing to travel to you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Texas High must be pretty good if you're willing to make the trip up to Fayetteville, which I'm sure Coach Dick doesn't get a lot of people calling him going, "Hey, you want to play?" That probably doesn't happen for my guy right there. But Fayetteville's different. Fayetteville's front 7 might be the best in the state of Arkansas defensively. Their backs, their linebackers are phenomenal. They can play sideline to sideline. They can cover just about anybody. I think Odom's getting better, settled in at quarterback. They're different offensively. They still have DeLamar out on the outside, but they like to run it. They're doing a bunch of RPO stuff with Odom, and so they're kind of a different Fayetteville bunch. Still explosive on offense. They're averaging about 39 points. Some moron picked Cabot to beat them, which fired them up. I don't know who that.
They're fired up about it, bud.
Yeah. Coach Reed owes me lunch. Anyway. They opened the season with 48-18 over Cabot, and then they came back from Broken Arrow, showed a lot of moxie in that game, and ended up winning 30-23 after getting down 0-16 on the road at Broken Arrow, which is not a great place to play. I mean, they've got the biggest B I've ever seen in my life in the middle. I mean, you can't even see the lines. So that was pretty intimidating place. But like I said, they found a place to win. They've won, 16 in a row now?
Yeah.
16?
I think
16 in a row.
I think I read them or Greenwood got the longest winning streak right now at 16 or something.
Yeah, they might be. Yeah, they might be tied for the daggum.
Yeah,
they're rolling. So, you like Fayetteville at home. Texas High is going to be great, and what a great game to play, especially considering a lot of there's been a bunch of bye weeks this week. So I'm going to take Fayetteville at home.
Fayetteville home.
Texas High. I think they're going to make a statement, because they've been watching our Big 5 picks, and they're like, "Hey, we won it last year, Coach Temple."
Yeah, and we went undefeated, and returned a lot of guys. Well, I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go over there and check their work personally. We're off this week. We got a break. I'm going to go over there and check these guys' work out and see where they belong, and that part of it. I think it'll be a good high school football game, but I'm going to take the Purple Dogs just because they're at home, and I think they got it rolling. Mouth, who you liking this one?
Well, I like the Purple Dogs because they can run. No. I'm sure Texas High can run. And, Coach Dick and Coach Davis and the coach that worked for you, DeAndre.
Coach Brett.
Coach Brett. They watch. They're big fans of the show. If I don't pick them, I'll hear about it. So I'm going Fayetteville.
Going Fayetteville. Well, you can't get pressured in from outside influences, Mouth. No pressure.
No,
I heard it all last week from Farmington, and they won. You can't. Don't take outside pressure. You got to, you got to do it for the people.
I've got to take Fayetteville because Arkansas versus Texas. Got to go Arkansas.
There you go. All right, Coach, go and break this one down.
All right, I want y'all to think about what you're doing there. And when Coach Fimple picked Cabot, how did Fayetteville play? They played phenomenal.
Oh, so, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
I want you to. I want y'all to understand.
Hey, Coach Cole, what was even worse? They told the Mouth about it on the way out to the buses on the way home.
Oh yeah, they said be sure to tell Coach Fimple we're mad at him. That's not the word they use.
I get it. And here's what I want you guys to understand, and I hope all the Purple Dogs listening understand. I want Fayetteville to win, but I want to throw a little stat at you. Quarterback David Potter of Texas High is completing 77% of his passes.
Yeah.
He's thrown 8 touchdowns with 0 interceptions. Here's my motivation for Fayetteville. I'm picking Texas High.
Oh! Coach Cole going Texas High.
Horns up. He went horns up.
Yeah. I say
horns up.
Yeah. You'll hear about it too. You'll get some texts when they see the show.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
like
okay.
Coach Reed doesn't even talk to me.
I'm hoping Fayetteville wins, but I hope I give them a little motivation.
Coach Reed won't even talk to me now.
Well, all right, here we go. Daryl, you ought to be pretty good on this. These are is kind of struggling a little bit here.
Kind of.
This is a big. These guys don't like each other. North Little Rock at Catholic, and
this
Catholic's
game,
kind of had their number a little bit here lately.
Yes, they have, and they're coming fresh off the Catholic Bowl. Did you see that? They went down to Texas and played, won over Cathedral 41-7. They beat Arkansas High at the first of the year, 20-15. North Little Rock we scored our first touchdown last week. And we were pretty excited about that. Kids are playing hard. It's just one of those years, we a little snake bit turnover wise. And then I'm telling you, the schedule hadn't really been great for them either.
Oh,
not breaking in so many new kids. Only had 112 yards of total offense. North Little Rock did. They only had 28 total yards in the first half against Benton. And luckily Benton turned it over a bunch of times and they didn't play a clean game. So got out of there. Of course, they got beat, but we did, show some signs there towards the end of the game. Catholic, like I said, is averaging about 30.5 points. I think they've done a good job defensively. They've only given up 22 points on the year. And like I said, they've been on the road this whole time. So them playing at War Memorial this week, I think they're going to beat the Charging Wildcats. So I'm going to take Catholic.
Take Catholic in that one. Mouth, how you liking this one?
Got to go with Catholic Rockets. I think they're ready to launch.
Ready to launch. Well, I'm going to go with Catholic because I'm just going to tell you, anytime they play at home, besides one time I ever played them, you better strap it on. They play better. I mean, something about that place, they play really well at home. I'm going to go with Catholic also. Coach Coleman, you've played both of these teams in your time. Talk to us a little bit what you think about this ball game.
Well, I tip my cap to Coach Reed at North Little Rock. I think I think they're going to make a big jump this week. I think they're going to start putting some stuff together. But I watched Catholic in the Catholic Bowl, and Jackson England, the quarterback, and Noel Lewis, the running back. They're really good players. Coach Cochran there is doing a heck of a job, taking over for Coach Fogelman. I think Catholic's going to get them.
I think Catholic's going to get them.
It's a huge difference too. The Engle kid, I think he's a 3-year starter at quarterback too.
Yeah.
He's a very good player.
Yeah, he is.
Well, and like I said, they've been been out of state too, but they've for some reason got North Little Rock's number and had it for a while. All right, our small school game of the week. Let's get to it here. The old Carlisle Bisons, who I love me some Carlisle Bisons, traveling over to Desark. Desark's kind of woken everybody up here. Hey, we can play a little bit over here also. Break this one down for us.
Well, Desark has lived and died by the big play.
Yes, sir.
Davion Bell had 3 touchdowns last week. He had one that was 51 yards and one that was 75 yards. Gabe Berry chipped in with a touchdown. They're averaging about 40 points on offense, only giving up 15. They beat Hazen 46-8 to open the season and then beat Bald Knob 34-12. So they've beaten two at least they played the people that are close to them and played some good opponents. Carlisle, of course, beat Drew Central to open the season 38-6, made a statement game and beat Junction City 41-20 at home, and it was an air raid show. Like I said, this is not your dad's Carlisle team.
No.
We were lining up 2 feet away from each other and just pounding straight ahead. No, this is aired out. The Tankersley kid is a phenomenal quarterback. And I'm telling you right now, they don't make a lot of reads. They run a lot of fades. They get you on that. And I think as soon as he sees it, he knows exactly where he's going with the ball. They don't turn it over. Defensively, they played really well, really good up front. Their front seven's very good. Carlisle, Des Arc's kind of a rival here. I guess they'll probably meet up at Nick's barbecue and see if they can who can eat the most, baked beans or whatever. So I'm going to take Carlisle traveling Des Arc here because Carlisle has a lot to gain in this game. Of course, bragging rights and the whole 9 yards. And of course, when you go into Des Arc, this is going to be our lawn chair game of the day right here. I'm thinking we're going to pack the old crowd up here. And somebody's going to have to be pulling out some lawn chairs, maybe backing some pickup trucks up. We might be sitting out there in some blankets watching this game go down.
I don't think there's any doubt. Mouth, who you got in this one?
I got to go with Carlisle Bison.
Carlisle Bisons. I'm going with Carlisle. I mean, I think they got it together a little bit. Randy, what do you think about this one, Coach?
Well, I've played at Des Arc, and it's a really good place to play. They love their Eagles there, and and I did a little research on this game, and they're saying there may be some field conditions could be an issue this week.
Oh yeah, water being blessed over there.
So I think home field could be a big advantage, but I think Carlisle's too much. I'm going to pick Carlisle.
I think so too. I think Carlisle's just on a mission this year, man. Them and Conway Christian and that 2A. I mean, they're right there with them too. But I really like Carlisle. All right, big school game of the week. We got Benton at Harding Academy. This game looked like a really compelling game early on in the year, and Harding Academy's had a few slip-ups. Before we get into it, let's go ahead and bring on Benton head coach, our Lindsay associated guest, Coach Brad Harris. Coach, welcome to the show. Hey, big game. I mean, this is one of those games where you kind of at the beginning of the year, we're kind of looking at, hey, that one here, and this is a huge game with Harding Academy. First of all, as a football fan, I had this discussion with Quad last week at Bryant. We appreciate you taking the game. A lot of guys at your position in a bigger school's not going to take that game a lot of times just for different situations, and we appreciate you taking it. Talk to us a little bit about the process of taking this game with Harding Academy and kind of what you were looking for and getting out of it, obviously.
Right, Jeff. Well, first of all, thanks for having me on and talking to me. I always love to promote some Benton football, man. But, here's the deal. We were looking for a game, and we were struggling finding somebody close. We had some teams that were 2-3 hours away, and, we were just trying to stay as close as we could with non-conference since our conference is spread out all over the state. And Coach Evans up at Harding Academy had a game, but it fell through. And I was looking for somebody that was similar to them, that could throw it around.
It's going to be interesting, Daryl, in this matchup. Harding Academy, a lot of hype before the season. Still think they're going to be in the mix. They're late. Ran into a Marion bunch. Scheduled this game. You got to give Coach Evans a lot of credit for scheduling this game and loading it up. Break this one down. Benton looks extremely tough.
When we talked at the first year, you could tell who was going to make a run. We knew Elkins was loading their schedule up, and Harding Academy was loading their schedule up. Of course, Warren always loads their schedule up. So you can see where they're headed there. Harding Academy's used to winning. Owen Miller's still their quarterback. They still got a great scheme. They're going to be in some games. And this is going to be a good one. This could be a shootout if you really want to know the truth. Benton played a little sloppy in both games so far this year. They were 1-1. Of course, they got beat by Bryant 45-52 in the Salt Bowl. Turned around and beat North Little Rock 42-13 this past week. But I don't think Coach was real happy about where they're at there. Drew Davis was 19-35 for 284 yards and 3 touchdowns. 3 different guys. Maddox Davis, Kirsten Collett, and Ellen Payne all caught touchdowns. T.J. Wilkins ran for 2 against North Little Rock. So they're kind of multidimensional. What Benton has struggled with is really just penalties, turnovers, and just not playing clean games right now. And they're traveling to Hardin Academy. I'd like to know what Hardin Academy's home record is. I mean, it's got to be something phenomenal because, I
don't remember losing there forever.
Yeah, I don't know if they do or not. So that's going to be a challenge for Benton to load up and head that way. It really depends, the first quarter, I think, is going to be important in this game to swing it one way or the other because you're going to tell real fast who's settled in and who's not. So on the road, I'm going to take Benton over Harding Academy. And it could be a shootout, or they could completely change the way it happens and kind of slow it down on offense. But I think Benton's probably the better team in this one.
Mouth, you're right there. I mean, you're right in the middle of that Harding Academy and Searcy action right there. Talk to us a little bit about this one.
It's going to be a heck of a game. My niece is a senior cheerleader at Harding Academy, and they'll be fine. They'll end up having a great year. I think sheer numbers of body numbers will come into effect on Harding Academy in this game. I'm going to go with Benton in a close one.
I'm going Benton in a close one. Coach Coleman, let's get into this a little bit. And you've played drop down when you're at Jonesboro and played some teams, really good teams. To me, it's always about the mouth hit the numbers and the line of scrimmage. Kind of break this one down for us a little bit.
No doubt. And I think the line of scrimmage is bigger than the numbers because, I don't think a Coach Evans coach team is going to pull the cramps and all that stuff. That Harding Academy is not going to be affected by that. I think it's just sheer size on the offensive line that Benton has. And then, Brad Harris always has them ready to play. Benton has always been an impressive football team every time that I've had the opportunity to play them, and it's been a lot of fun. I think if you like quarterbacks, this is a game to go to because Drew Davis and Owen Miller are two of the good ones in the state. I mean, that, just football, just plain and simple football. I think this is going to be a fun game to watch, but I think Benton will be too much for them. But let's say this, when we talk about scheduled non-conference, these two teams are going to be ready, come November, early December. They're still going to be playing and they've got big picture ahead of them. But I think Benton's too much this week.
I just think the trenches. I mean, you see that they struggle with Marion and that areas but like Daryl made a good point, Benton needs to have a clean game. They get over there and start throwing it on the ground, on the floor, and mess up here or there. Harding Academy get that mojo. But I'm gonna go with Benton. Also, I think just pure line of scrimmage and everything. Well, guys, I tell you what, man, we're 1 week away from conference play. We've all got this set up, and let's start with you, Daryl, and we'll go with Mouth, and we'll go in with you, Randy. After this week, you watch 3 weeks of ball? What do you see playing out overall? What's some conferences that you're really interested in, some classifications that you're interested really checking out? Talk to us, Daryl. Where do you think people have grown and where they've regressed a little bit?
Well, I think the 7A West is going to be fun to watch. I think you're going to have some teams. I don't know if anybody can actually play with Fayetteville, but I think those 2 through 5s and 2 through 6s is going to be some fun things to see. You're going to see some people that went out and played some people to get, of course, get ready for their conference season. So that's fun. Fort Smith Southside, another team that's kind of figured it out. I mean, they're a work in progress, but they're starting to figure it out. How about the Siloam Springs Panthers?
Hey, I
mean, did they name a dadgum road after Coach Lockridge this week or what? I mean, there's got to be like a little side road there, Lockridge Lane. I mean, come on, man. That guy's, 2-1. And so you love to see stories like that. Newport, like we said, is kind of sneaking out. We got Rivercrest getting on a roll here in our smaller classifications. 6A, you've got Benton, and is anybody ready for the steamroller that is Greenwood? It's going to be, you hope that everybody stays injury free and gets better and better every week that we get into this. And like I said, we've got some kids doing some amazing things, and man, we got some great coaches in the state of Arkansas.
No doubt. Mouth, what's your takeaway?
I am just fascinated with how the first 3 weeks have gone, and the conference that I'm looking forward to watching every week after this bye week, this Friday night. I can't wait to see how the 7A Central shakes out. That'll be just hard-nosed football every Friday night, and I can't wait to keep going every Wednesday to present the Coaches in the Mouth Player of the Weeks, because I get to go to places I've never been before.
Well, that's a cool deal. Cool deal, man. Coach Coleman, what are you seeing here? What are you interested in?
Well, there's a couple things. One, I want to see Warren and Elkins again in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I watched some of that, and we know how, Bo gets he's always doing this. He is always trending up with his football team, and he finds a way to get them competitive come playoff time. I want to see that, semis or state championship game. I think that would be a good one. But I'll bookend this the way I kind of started. I've watched Newport and Valley View this year, starting with the 5A East. I think Valley View Harding Academy, which is going to be early. I think it's week 5.
Mm-hmm.
Want to see how that goes, and it's going to be at Harding Academy. But then I want to see how the Win Yellow Jackets are. I think Coach Toddy's got them trending in the right direction, and I want to see how they come up in the mix of that conference play. And then I think the 3A3 with Newport, Osceola, Rivercrest, and then who everybody picked is Walnut Ridge. I want to see that race, come down to the wire and see who gets that conference crown, because I think if you can get a 1 seed from that conference, you're a player statewide.
Yeah, I think so. Just the travel and all that part. And there's going to be, you've got Hoxie in there. There's going to be a good team not get in. A couple of good teams not get in there.
No doubt.
I tell you what, I'm a little bit interested in seeing the 7A Central with the Mouth, watching Pulaski Academy, watching Little Rock Central, where they're going to fend up in that fold and playing Conway, Bryant, and Cabot, who've kind of been dominant in that deal. And, you hit it a little bit, that 5A East with that Valley View. You better keep an eye on those guys. I think that's an interesting deal. And you hit about Warren and Elkins and those matchups. I think that 3A and 4A right now, guys, is as wide open. They've played each other, a lot of them, but it is as wide open as it can be, and it's going to be interesting. Well, before I get off here, hey, if you're on here on YouTube, we've got merch. We've got a lot of items. I've got a new hat on here, Coach of the Mouth hat. There's all kinds of T-shirts, gear. Get on there. We want to thank all our sponsors, Lindsay Associated, and All-American Steakhouse here in Springdale, the Pigs brand. Well, for Coach Jeff Williams, Coach Daryl Fimple, the Mouth Brent Bender, and our special guest, Coach Coleman, we'll see you next time.